Is it ever too late to do what you love in life, whatever that is? Hi, I'm Julie and welcome to Still Sassy, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm covering the juicy topic of doing things different and unusual, or just something that you want to do once you're older. And I love this topic so much because when I'm speaking to women that I know, clients that I've worked with, this is a big thing for them. Am I too old now to do ... So I'm going to cover all this off here today. To do that, I'm going to have to take us back in time to 2015, which does seem a very long time ago now. I just had a hysterectomy. It came out of the blue and it answered many questions I'd had about what was going on in my body. The thing is, I needed 6 weeks off work, and in fact that ended up being 8 weeks. Now, I'm not a sit still type of girl. I have to be on the move all the time, doing something all the time, watching something on YouTube, whatever it is, I've got to be doing something. So 6 weeks of no driving, no going out to speak of, or anything much other than sitting in the house was going to be murder. And strangely enough, it was YouTube that saved me back then. And I'll tell you why in a second. But before then, if you like what I talk about here on this channel, then I would love it if you could find your way to subscribe and also like this video. I'd be very grateful, thank you. So YouTube, I'd never really watched it before. Don't know why, I just not got into it at all. But I had nothing else to do. So I just turned to YouTube. Don't know what made me do it that day, back then when I was off sick. But I just thought, give it a go, what else have I got to lose? I'm bored. And that's when I came across Sam and Nick Chapman's YouTube channel, which I think then was called Pixiwoo. They've now got 2 separate channels. Now obviously Sam and Nick are both makeup artists. If you don't know that, if you don't know anything about them, then I urge you to find them. They're great. And I could not believe that people were talking about makeup and skincare on YouTube. And back then, because it's quite a while ago now, there weren't that many like there are now. There are thousands of people on YouTube doing makeup stuff. Back then there weren't that many. But I sought them out, I found the ones that I liked, and I just binged on makeup and skincare videos for 8 weeks. I was absolutely hooked. I watched loads. Now, a bit of background, I've always been a makeup junkie, a skincare addict. The makeup stuff started when I was about 13 and I first went to youth clubs and I used to doll myself up to go and impress the boys, I guess. Not sure I did a lot of impressing back then, but you know, I tried my best. And I just loved putting makeup on my face. I loved how it felt, I loved how it made me look, even though I probably wasn't very good at it back then. And I carried this with me from that point on, just loving putting makeup on my face and using skincare. Although I have to say, my skincare routine didn't get very in-depth until much, much later. I think back then it was probably just a quick swipe of moisturiser. Now, when I had my son and he was a baby, a young child, I probably wasn't as into makeup as I was before and after that. Just because of time. Anybody who's out there who's been or is a mum, then you'll know how limited you are for time and you've got to swipe on the makeup as quick as you can. But once that phase had passed, I got straight back into it and I've loved it ever since. My family, when I lived at home, absolutely hated me hogging the bathroom. I used to spend hours sitting on the toilet because that was the only seat in our tiny bathroom, putting makeup on, and knowing both my brothers, anybody who wanted a toilet break because there was no toilet in the house, people used to get really narked at me. But you know, I didn't care. I was there putting my makeup on. I used to use a tiny little mirror and my makeup was usually one of 2 things. Either very bright and garish, think electric blue and oranges, or goth. Those were only my 2 options back then. And yes, I did have blue lipstick and black hair. Oh, how we lived. Now here, fast forward, there were thousands of people showing their makeup online and I loved it. And this was when the kernel of an idea for Still Sassy started, way back when in 2015, and we're in 2024 now. It was just a spec, and I wonder what I could do type of moment. Is this something I could get involved with? At the time I was working as a publisher of magazines. No idea that life could change in a way that it did. But the idea was there. It just popped into my head while I was watching all these videos. It would of course take a few more years for Still Sassy to get anywhere near being a business or being anything. But knowing that it was something I wanted to do was what led me to train as a makeup artist. Now fast forward from there to 2019, I finally decided it was time to train. as a makeup artist. My ideas for Still Sassy were getting bigger and bigger, and although I hadn't started this business back then in 2019, I was adamant that I would at some point. I wasn't sure when, but it was going to happen. Now, I'm one of these people that always want to do things correctly, and I decided that if I was to make a go of talking to people about skincare and makeup and putting makeup on people's faces like I hoped I would through this business, then I had to be properly qualified, just so that I had the kudos of actually knowing how to do it. I wasn't just guessing or using my own experience. I knew that I would probably have a YouTube channel and a blog, and I just wanted to be certain that I could give people the best advice I could around makeup, skincare and all that stuff. So at this point I was 54 years old, so not a spring chicken anymore. And I decided even then that when I put makeup on people's faces or when I talked about makeup, it was going to be for women of my age range, so 50 and beyond. It sort of felt to me that to do this job as a makeup artist or be involved with makeup in any way at all, serving people who were my own age was the best option. I wasn't sure that I wanted to be putting makeup on 21, 22-year-old girls, just as I'm not actually that keen on 21, 22-year-old girls putting makeup on me. And I've had experience of that when it didn't quite work so well. It was when I was doing a photo shoot for some headshots for the business I was running way back when, and the young girl who was lovely, who put my makeup on, just couldn't get her head around the fact that I wanted my makeup to be quite bright and quite bold, sassy. She was very much into beige and muting everything down because, you know, that's how she felt makeup should be on a 50-year-old woman, or 50-plus-year-old woman. And that made me think that when I started putting makeup on people, I was going to really channel my energies into dealing with people who were like me, had the same problems as me, wrinkles, dry skin, all the stuff that goes on as you're getting older. So in 2019 I was watching a Pixiwoo video, yes, they were still going strong at that point, and Sam and Nick were answering questions from their viewers. And one of those questions was, who would they recommend if that person who was asking the question wanted to become a makeup artist? Who should they train with? Their answer was David Horn at the House of Glam Dolls in London, and my ears pricked up. I decided if he was good enough for Pixiwoo, then he was good enough for me. I googled him, of course. I wanted to know what he was about, and I was a bit scared because he was so experienced. He'd worked as a designer across lots of fashion weeks. He helped establish MAC in the UK. He was the creative, or had been the creative director at Illimaska. He managed Lisa Eldridge's shops when they opened, and he is the author of The Art of Male Makeup. Now flash forward to today, and he's now got a business called The Skin Wizard, which is all about using great products, skincare and makeup, and good nutrition to make your skin and you look the best you could possibly be. I'll link his website somewhere below in the description. So I signed up. Once I'd read about him and realised how experienced he was, I could see why Pixiwoo had recommended him, and in a mad dash of silliness, I sent off payment. So I turned up at this amazing swanky studio in London. Makeup everywhere, ring lights everywhere. In some respects, everything I dreamt of. In other respects, it terrified me quite a lot. I was really nervous. This was a very different thing for me. I've been a journalist, I've been a publisher, been a life coach, but this was a complete new journey. And I'm not sure I was feeling that confident about it, to be honest. I had an inkling that I'd be the oldest person on the course, and I was. And my confidence plummeted as I reached the door to the studio and put my hand on that door handle. The old imposter syndrome was absolutely rife. I wasn't good enough to be here. What the hell was I thinking? I'm going to make a complete fool of myself. That's all the things that were going through my mind as I entered that studio. Sadly, I was far too far away from home to be able to leave, so I was just going to have to stick it out. So this was a 3-day course, and it was a mixture of theory and practice. And I asked poor David lots and lots of questions about how the things we were learning would relate to somebody with older skin, somebody who was more mature. David was charming and cheerful and encouraging. Couldn't have asked for any more, really. I got some amazing insights. David was just so knowledgeable and happy to pass on every inch of knowledge that he had to us potential makeup artists. So for 2 days I asked questions and I put makeup on myself, and then on the 3rd day we had to buddy up with someone else and do their makeup, and they did mine. We had to do everything. False eyelashes, winged eyeliner, highlighter, eyeshadow, the whole lot, everything went on. It was nerve-wracking and glorious all at the same time. My partner in crime was a much younger woman, but she was great. She made me feel like I really belonged there. And when she put my makeup on, she also made me feel confident and glamorous. Everything you'd want from a makeup artist, really. I suddenly felt like I belonged there. Of course I did. I was interested in makeup. That's all you need, really, to be a makeup artist. You get the skills through the training. Just because we get older doesn't mean we become less interested in things or less capable of doing things. It's just age. It's just a number. This is what I've been dreaming of doing since those early days of Pixiwoo, when I was laid up off sick, and it felt absolutely amazing. Once I got over all the issues with my confidence, I just flung myself into it. Thought, what have I got to lose? I've paid for this. Who cares what anybody thinks? I'm here doing it. And it felt fab. So what happened after that? Had I left it too late to become a makeup artist? No, of course not, was the answer. I had not left it too late. And it confirmed to me, even though I knew it already, that you're never too old to do anything you want to do. You can become whatever you want at any age. Yes, maybe the opportunities are going to be more limited, but you can carve your own path. You're in charge of the way your life goes. Since then, I've become even more interested in makeup and skincare. However, qualifying as a makeup artist just a few months before a global pandemic hit was not the best timing. The world shutting down for 18 months, however long it was not in my plans at all, but like everyone else, I just had to adapt. I did manage to put makeup on a few dozen faces between lockdowns when we were all dodging about trying to get things done, and it was a great experience. But I also became much more enthusiastic and much clearer about what Still Sassy was going to be about. I had time on my hands to do a lot of learning and a lot of planning and a lot of thinking. What the experience really taught me was the difference between doing makeup on a younger skin as opposed to doing makeup on an older skin. Yes, it is different, and I would say more skillful, because you've got more to consider. You can't be slapdash, you've really got to think about it. Not that I'm saying anybody's slapdash with their makeup, but when you've got a skin that needs a bit of tender loving care or is different to how it used to be, then you've got to be thinking about that. My ambition was to make older women feel absolutely amazing, and I absolutely adore doing that. It feels like it's what I was born to do. Becoming a makeup artist at 54 was supposed to be a new beginning for me, and it was, but perhaps not in the way I thought it would be. Basically, the pandemic changed how I showed up. Yes, I do put makeup on people's faces still. Quite often it's the mother or the bride or the groom or women who are going off to a special occasion. But what I also now do is spend more time teaching women over 50 to do their own makeup, to make themselves feel amazing. I do this a lot through online training, so they'll come for an hour and a half and have some input from me, and they put the makeup on and I share tips and tricks about what will work and what won't work and what makeup to wear and things. I also do in-person local courses every now and then. And that's the point, really. The important thing about all of this is making the decision to do something, whatever that something is, to do something different to what you're doing now, and have the bravery and the confidence to know you can. It doesn't matter how it turns out in the end, really, as long as you haven't wasted hundreds of thousands of pounds. You can learn, fail, and every time you do that, you move on to something better, something greater. Your ideas change and form into something else. And that's when you see each decision you make leading to something much more exciting. What I'm doing now with Still Sassy is so much more and so much more exciting than way back when I was pondering on my life when I had the hysterectomy, and then again when I did my training with David. I've morphed into something else. My business has morphed into something else, and I'm loving it. And that's when things get really interesting. I still watch loads of makeup videos on YouTube, but now I also make makeup videos. And I love teaching women how to get the most from their skincare and makeup as well, making them feel confident, have their self-esteem bursting out of them. And that's got to be much more useful than relying on me to put makeup on them. So my aim of this video was to show you that anything is possible wherever you are on the age spectrum, or wherever you are in life. I remember when I was at school and thinking about what I might do with my future, it didn't turn out like I'd expected it to. At first I wanted to be a groom for horses, then I wanted to be a police officer, but I was too short for that by half an inch. Yes, height mattered back then. And then I wanted to be a hairdresser, and at that point my dad said to me, over my dead body, because he didn't think that was a good enough career for any woman really. He wanted me to be something else. And I did become something else, and I've had a great career doing all sorts of things, but now I'm at my most fulfilled. doing the work that I love to do for me and for the women that I work with. Nothing feels like it. It is amazing. The time that it's too late is when you're no longer here. Until then, just fill your boots. Just do what it is you want to do. Yes, you may have to train, you might have to do things differently, you might have to save up, but it's all doable. So tell me in the comments, what would you love to be doing that you haven't yet started? I would love to give you a nudge in the right direction. So pop down below and let me know in the comments what it is you want to do. Thanks for watching. I hope that's been useful and inspired some of you to have a think about what you might do next. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.